So, hello everyone, and welcome back to Navigating Work and Grief Together. I'm Jody Lavoie, your host, and this is a time where I chat with folks in the workplace that are involved with bereavement, grief, with life transitions, whether that be a divorce, a birth of a baby, but all those kind of life things that hit us all and cause some stress in our life and our work life. And so today I have my new friend, John Lynch. We met on LinkedIn, and it happens that we've got some pretty close contacts that are similar.
Yeah.
As one finds out in LinkedIn, he's a former employment attorney turned HR trailblazer, and he is the first ever HR manager at DePaul College Prep, which is a private Catholic high school here in Chicago, where I reside. So, John, let's get into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey into HR? Because you didn't start there.
No, thanks, Jody. As you said, I practiced labor and employment law for about 30 years. And after 25 years of that, in the spring of 2019, I decided to start more proactively trying to move into an HR role. So I went and got my SHRM certification, the Senior Certified Professional, which is a test you take for a few hours. I did that in the summer of 2019 and then sort of started the process. But life got in the way, as this conversation will dictate. My mother-in-law fell ill. She passed away in the early 2020, and then COVID hit. So the prospects of moving into HR were very limited at that point, and I just maintained practicing law. In 2023, I finished up an interim general counsel role and decided, okay, I'm done. I want to be more proactive about this. And I reached out to some friends, and they had connections to DePaul Prep where they knew they were looking for an HR manager. And they asked me if I would be interested. And uh, here I am. It was great. Um, they had been
Wonderful.
doing, DePaul Prep had been doing amazing work by that point. They were in their 10th year of uh, this high school, and they had gone from about 350 students to over 1,100. And of course, with that, the staff grows. So they were looking for an HR professional to come in, and I was looking for an HR position. So it was since then, they've grown to over 1,350 students, and we now have about 200 faculty and staff.
Wow. Tons of growth. And then here you are stepping in, the first official person in that role. And how is that? Lots of change that probably is happening and had to happen.
Yes, for sure. As you've seen and you probably run into at a lot of businesses, particularly schools, you don't necessarily have an HR professional. You have people doing HR, as they say, and doing their best. But I was fortunate to step into a situation and a place where everyone's really all about the mission of educating the students. Everyone is doing what they can, was doing what they could. We have a close association with DePaul University and the Vincentian Order, the Congregation of the Mission. And we often cite the Vincentian question, which is on a large mural as you walk down our staircase, and it's what must be done.
Mm.
And that really weaves its way through everything we do here. My colleagues, senior leadership are all very supportive about efficiency and process improvement. I would say there hasn't been as much change since I got here as addition, right?
Okay.
So there were things that just weren't being done. They weren't being done wrong. They just weren't being done. And so it's been a great role for me to be able to come in and step into that.
And so some of the things that weren't being done, I'm just curious because there's HR professionals out there that might be wondering, so what were they?
It's just nobody really had the time to be doing things, and they had just implemented right before I got here a maternity and paternity leave policy. So I started in July, and then in September we had our first mom have a child, and it was a great opportunity for us as an institution and me to figure out like, all right, how do we make this easiest?
Mm.
So, she came to me in August when she came back to school. She was having the baby in September, and we did a calendar. We did a spreadsheet of this is what your pay is going to look like. This is how it'll look over the 7 weeks that you're gone. You know, substitution coverage, sub plans, all of that went into place to make that happen and make it easiest for her, the teacher. And that's important. Teachers are amazing. They hate being away from their classroom. And they want to know that while they're away, the students are going to be learning. They're going to be moving along in their lesson plan. They're going to be moving along in the syllabus with somebody that's actually doing it, and so all of that has woven in. And so since I got here, I think 6 women have had children and gone on maternity leave. Five men have had children and gone on paternity leave. So it's been good to support them and give them a plan uh, for what's ahead.
Absolutely. I bet having that roadmap that's so clear gives them a lot of peace of mind.
Yes. Yep, for sure. And they need it, right? There's uncertainty. I joke with uh, especially first-time parents that are just becoming parents. That the unpredictability leading up to the baby being born, when's it going to actually arrive? Will it be a boy or a girl? What's going to happen with work? What's going to happen with this? How does my leave work? I said it's just preparation for the next 20 years of unpredictability. Once you have this kid, it just everything relies on what that child is going to be doing for the next 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As you
And
know, as a mom of three
mom
of
of
your
three
own.
girls. Yes,
Yeah.
there's always something that comes up for sure.
Hmm.
And it's usually at a time that's the least ideal. So how have the people that have gone on, the teachers that have taken the maternity and the paternity leave felt? Have they felt supported? Have there been changes that have been made to the policy as you've kind of worked through it and
Uh,
discovered need?
Not really. The policy was pretty well done. It was again, as I said, we're a 10-year-old school, now 11 years. And it was a policy put in place to, retain teachers and support teachers. And not much has had to be tweaked in the policy itself, but the implementation of the policy has been, I wouldn't say challenging, but it's been new to everybody, right?
Mhm.
So, um, how does it work with so when a mom has a baby, they utilize our short-term disability policy, and that pays 70% of their wages, and we pay the other 30 for the 7 weeks they're out. And then there's FMLA if they have PTO or whatever they want to use to extend that, they can. If it's a C-section, it's 9 weeks instead of 7. But it's just been figuring out, okay, how's that work? And how do we, accommodate them? Some people with their pay, the pay is an issue. And how I want to take 12 weeks, but only 7 of it's paid.
Mm,
I don't want to go 5 weeks without pay. Can we stretch out the 7 weeks into 12 weeks? And, just being flexible to support whatever they need and whatever reassures them. And honestly, from a selfish employer standpoint, it's what makes them come back,
right.
because in my when I first became a lawyer, the FMLA was just coming into place, and it seemed like a hammer that was coming down on employers. But it's really been a good roadmap to how do you retain people, and
Mm,
retaining people is important, especially in education.
absolutely. And so since you've seen the genesis of FMLA and I don't know all the technicalities of it, but what have you seen evolved, changed, feedback with that?
I think it's been pretty positive for the most part. There was a struggle in the 90s to figure out what it meant. 12 weeks in what year? Is it the year does the year start the day they start leave? Is it a calendar year? Is it a fiscal year? Is it, and people worked out all of those things to fit their business needs and hopefully their employee needs. So I don't think it's been the imposition that everybody felt it was going to be at the beginning.
Mhm.
And now it's been 30 years, so pretty much everybody's used to it.
Yeah. Okay. And so you use the words, I think, human-centered approach when we chatted before, or you bring the human to the resources, or remind me what you said, because I,
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I came on board in July of 2023, and the next month we brought in 40 new faculty and staff, just because of the growth we had had. And human resources can be, to use a school term, like the principal's office, right? Nobody wants to get a note from human resources, hey, can you see me? Right. So they think they're in trouble. So rather than going into a deep dive of what human resources was, I explained to these 40 new people and the people that I was meeting for the first time that you guys are humans and I am a resource.
Mhm.
So if you need something, come to me. If you don't understand a policy, come to me. If the policy is not written down anywhere, come to me. If you have questions, let me know what they are. Again, I didn't want people to view HR as, oh, now we've got HR, so it's like bringing in the police force, right? I didn't
Right.
want it to be viewed that way. And I've just tried to be visible and available to people, interact with them, get to know them, let them get to know me as a person that you can go to.
Mhm.
Um, as a lawyer, I learned that there's not much new that comes to you as a lawyer, right? Like every problem is unique, but you've seen most of it before. But
Mhm.
your client or as HR, your employee, it's new to them, right? This is unique to them. It's never happened to them before, even though it's happened to 10 other people on your staff or people you've known. And it's just reassuring them that while it's new to them, it's something that many others have gone through and I've gone through and I've helped people through it and showing them that there's a path forward. It might not be a smoothly paved road, but it's a path, right? And I get, all right, so yes, you're upset that your partner has this diagnosis. You're upset that your parents have to, move into assisted living. Um, Taking away the stress of the workplace and letting them, you can't take away the stress of how that what happens to you personally, right? Like that's there. But if you can remove the stress of the workplace, it gives them some comfort um, to at least know that that's all set. It's going to be there when they come back.
Absolutely. And that's such a huge relief and gift for people going through really challenging times.
Hmm.
That's scary. You want to make sure that you have a job when you come
Right.
and that you're able to focus on what you need to be focusing on for your family at that time, for sure.
Hmm.
Now, you talked about that you want to make sure you're visible and available. And for some HR folks and people in your office, right? We get focused on our day to day, and you've got this laundry list of things
Hmm.
that you need to do. And it can be easy sometimes to just kind of hole up and get through that and just wait for people to approach you, knock on your door as such. So, are there things that you've found helpful from putting yourself out there, making yourself visible and available perspective?
Yeah, I try at least once a day and it's for my own benefit, right? Your watch will tell you, oh, time to stand up, and a lot of us here do it. We got three different buildings here. We've got a west, east, and south wing, and every place has the bottle fillers for your water bottle. So I make it a point if I'm doing that, I'll go to another building and do that. Fill the water bottle, walk around, see people you don't see if you're just sitting in your office. Have a conversation in the hallway or the lunchroom or the staff dining room, wherever. Just have conversations with people. And, just them seeing you as a reminder that you're there. And I can't tell you how many times I'll be walking down the hall and somebody will say, oh, John, I wanted to come see you. And, then we'll either have a brief conversation there or I tell them, come see me, I'm around, and so that's good. And it's seeing you as a reminder that you're there and there's a resource. And over 2 years now, I've gotten more and more situations where somebody says, hey, I'm dealing with this, and so in my department said I should come and talk to you because you helped them with something similar. Or so it's building up that reputation and the culture. And the culture really here is already there. Our president, our principal, pretty much everybody has an open door policy. And if you need something, you go to them. And so it's been easy for me to fit into that culture because the culture sort of existed already.
Right. And you have such a benefit because you're working in a school. So people are
Exactly.
physically present,
Hmm.
which is nice because it's certainly a bit more challenging if you're remote, right? To try to build that rapport, you have to do it differently.
For sure, for sure. I mean, COVID, as you know, was topsy-turvy. And I think I don't want to call education an industry, but I don't think there's another sector that pivoted in response to COVID as well as education did, and as immediately as education did. Particularly, I think private and Catholic education pivoted very quickly to, okay, the question, what must be done? Um, we were fortunate in that, the COVID hit in the spring of 2020, and in the fall of 2020 is when we moved into our new facility. So we had the space now to have hybrid classes, have, 20 kids come in on red days and the other 20 come in on blue days, and it all worked out. And then, once COVID ended, unlike, advertising agencies or law firms or whatever else, there was no real, well, why can't we just stay remote? Right? We're teachers, we're a school. No, remote doesn't work. We made it work when we had to. It's not ideal. We all saw that. So get in here. So, and honestly, it hasn't really been a struggle because the teachers want to be here. Um, they want to be in front of their kids, and the kids want to be here.
So let's talk a little bit about the kids, and perhaps some. I'm sure some of them have experienced loss in their own homes, whether it's a grandparent or a parent or a sibling or somebody in their
Hmm.
family. And how do is there some training for teachers? Because they're, of course, the front line for all of that. Or how is that addressed at school?
Well, and I don't know if we're unique among schools, but we have a large counseling department, and every student that comes in as a freshman is assigned to a counselor. They're assigned to a college counselor, and it's two separate people, right? Like it's two different skills. And they have a counselor they can go to pretty much with anything. It can be school related. I'm struggling with this teacher, not so much the materials. There's other um, avenues of redress for that, but and the counselors are great. They work hand in hand with the teachers. They'll work with the administration and work through all that. And kids suffer loss. Kids tend to magnify their losses sometimes, but then there's other kids that minimize their losses, and a teacher, a counselor can see it building up, and we address that quickly. I am not student facing, so I'm not involved in that, but I do get, I do have conversations with people that, hey, can we make sure this kid is being taken care of? It's really weighing on me. And then it's, well, if it's weighing on you, here are the resources available to you. You, you as a teacher can make sure that student is seeing the counselor and getting the help they need, but you also need to get the help you need.
Mhm.
And we have employee assistants, and sometimes just talking, right? Like, um, and our teachers are very collegial. We have big departments, and they work amongst the departments, and then they work, across departments with each other. So it's been great, and I think, but the whole thing here really is to support the students, and my job is to support the teachers and staff so that they
Mhm.
can more effectively support the students.
Absolutely. And that comfort level for a student knowing that they have a safe place to go where they can share, and for teachers knowing that they have a safe environment. If they're struggling with something, they can
Yeah.
go to their colleague or come to you or others in the administration and know that they're not, I don't know, they're not going to be flagged or looked differently on. It's all about support and back to
Hmm.
the quote of what must be done. We need to
Yeah.
help everybody
Yeah.
and give them the support they need. And that's a true benefit that you have of your can-do attitude and
Hmm.
changing policy and just getting it done where it needs to be done.
Hmm.
And that's not happening all the time out there. So,
No, and I think education's uniquely placed for doing that. We don't have, I mean, obviously, there's the money for the mission need, right? You need to be able to raise money. You need to be able to collect tuition. But we're not trying to make a profit, right? So we're not like, well, I don't care about your son's illness. We have this meeting today with a client. You need to be here. We don't, we don't have the profit motive to, that's not what we're here for.
yeah,
Our profit is like last night seeing 330 kids graduate high school. It was a great ceremony, and that's our profit. That's our payoff.
absolutely. And seeing all that they do out in this world and doing good, and some of them come back, I'm sure, and share all those stories. And as a teacher and an administrator, it just warms your heart
Mm-hmm.
to see that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, John, I appreciate your time today and sharing what's going on at DePaul College Prep and opening some eyes for some HR professionals out there that might feel like they're stuck in a box and how they can maybe think of your quote of what must be done
Thank you.
and just getting it done. Thank you, John.
All right, Jody. Thank you.